What's up YouTube? This is Alex from Team Generations back again with another deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at famous Professor Big Belly, one of the new Great Nature decks coming out of VBT11 I believe it is. It's Storm of Blue Cavalry. This is a super fun deck, very aggro, aggressive kind of deck. I like that you can actually use multiple different gift types with this depending on the state of the game, so super excited to bring this to you guys. Also, we will be having a Victor deck profile coming up as well as Blouse, just trying to really nail down those lists as best as I can before I bring them to you. So without further ado, let's jump right into the deck list for Big Belly. Alright, jumping right into it, this is our main grade 3 boss unit, the heart and soul of the deck, the one who really facilitates our entire winning strategy here. This is famous Professor Big Belly. Its skill on Vanguard Circle: when your rear guard is retired by your card's ability during each battle phase or each end phase, you may draw a card. Now I think that wording has a little bit more to do with premium. We're not going to worry about it too much in standard. It's pretty self-explanatory for us. Its second skill on Vanguard Circle: when it attacks, we can counterblast one. Choose one of our 20,000 or greater rear guards and stand it. If you have a grade 3 unit in your soul, we can stand all of our 20,000 or greater rear guards. Now upon first glance, this might seem like a slow card, like you need 2 grade 3 turns to really get it off, but that's not true. You can get a grade 3 in your soul on your first grade 3 turn very easily with another card we're going to be going over in just a second. So it's kind of simple. The main strategy of this deck really is to restand really powerful rear guards and get up to, I think it's like 7 attacks pretty consistently on your first grade 3 ride using his second ability. I find the card is very fun to play with. I enjoy using that, beating down my opponent. Pretty simple kind of strategy altogether. So yeah, running a lot of grade 3s in here, by the way. So our next one up is Hamskay's rival, Rocket Pencil Hamden. Now this guy on Van or rear guard circle once per turn, we can, when another unit is placed on an additional rear guard circle, we can counterblast one and put a card from our hand into our soul. And that unit and this unit get 10,000 until the end of turn. If we have 2 or more additional rear guard circles, we can draw a card. I'm not too worried about that last sentence there. That's more for like Hamskay, I think. But this guy is super critical for our strategy just because this enables us to cherry pick a grade 3 from our hand, put it into soul on our first grade 3 ride, and make sure that Big Belly's second skill is live. So very useful in that regard. Also helps this card and an additional unit really reach that 20,000 or greater threshold by itself. It's going to boost itself to 22,000, and if you have another grade 3, even if it's not on an Excel circle, it's going to be over 20 as well. So another 2 targets for a restand. Very useful. I like this card a lot, so we are running it at a 3 of. Very necessary to get our grade 3 Big Belly off on our first grade 3 ride. Next up, I like to call this guy the Cat in the Hat. This is Pursuer of Perfect Circles, Flow Panther. Also another super nice support rear guard. On Van or rear guard circle, once per turn, we can Soul Blast one, choose one of our units, and it gets an additional 10,000 until the end of turn. At the end of that turn, we can retire the rear guard chosen by this effect, and if this unit is on Vanguard Circle, we get to draw a card. So don't really want to ride into this, but if need be, it's not the worst thing in the world to get that draw off. Very cool because we can proc Big Belly's draw skill by retiring whoever we select with this card, and then we give our unit an additional 10,000, so again helping us hit that 20,000 power threshold. This guy can get himself there, no problem. And its second skill is pretty awesome too and synergizes really well with Big Belly. When it's retired from rear guard circle by your card's ability, if we have a Vanguard with Big Belly in its card name, we may put this unit into our soul. So all around super solid support card. I'm running it at a 4 of. I feel like I always want to see this on the field if Big Belly is my Vanguard, which hopefully it always is. So I'm running it at a 4 of. To round off now our grade 3s, I'm actually still running just 2 of these guys. This is Amber's Triangular. Its skill on Van or rear during our turn, if we do not have any other rear guards in the same column as this unit gets an additional 10,000, so really satisfies that 20,000 power threshold by itself. You can kind of see the theme of all the grade 3s. They kind of satisfy that 20,000 or greater by themselves. Really simple to get off. Its second skill is when its attack hits, one of our rear guards gets 10,000 till the end of turn, so no cost really associated with this card, which is nice. There are a lot of cards that actually do kind of cost resources in this deck, so being able to have something a little bit, cost-free is definitely necessary. This card, what you want to do with, I usually don't use this on my first grade 3 ride if the game has progressed to my second one. Let's say we have 2 Excel circles out. We have 1 and we have 2. What we can do is, I assume something will be on this one. We can pressure with this over here. Like, let's say on our previous turn we got our opponent to 4 damage, and they're looking to take a first hit on our turn and really hope for that defensive trigger. If they take this hit, that's fine, because we're going to give another one of our rear guards an extra 10,000, so very beneficial. And if this is on an Excel 1, this by itself was 32k, again resource free, so definitely will restand with Big Belly. I think this is a really nice tech card in here, so I am running it at a 2 of, and nice discard fodder too if you don't need it too early on. You need a grade 3 in soul, it's not too detrimental to use that guy as fodder. So finally done with the grade 3s, moving into the grade 2s now. Kind of running a low amount of grade 2s. I find that it just does work in the deck, not too many targets you want to go for. First up, this is Spool Mary. Its skill on rearguard circles when it attacks. If you have a Vanguard with Big Belly in its card name, you may have this unit and one of your Vanguards get 10,000 till the end of turn. If we do, at the end of a turn, we retire this unit. So it's really nice to give our Vanguard a little bit of power. As we can kind of see from all of our other grade 3s, a lot of them don't target the Vanguard, they target other rear guards, which is fine because we can only stand rear guards with Big Belly, but this one actually makes Big Belly pretty powerful. And if you have the grade 3 searcher behind Big Belly, this actually creates a 35k column, which is pretty threatening on a Vanguard attack. And you know, when you have 7 attacks during a turn, threatening triggers and such can be pretty detrimental. Its second ability is when rode upon, we may call this card to rear guard circle. So again, no real cost associated with this. When it is retired from its own effect, we're going to draw off that too. And if we ride on it, it's a free body out on field. We don't have to call from hand, which is very nice. So I'm running that at a 4 of. I think it definitely is necessary. Next up, we are running Measured Fossa, 4 of these guys. His skill on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when placed from hand, we can counterblast 1, look at 2 cards from the top of our deck, and call 1 card from among them to Rearguard Circle. And we put the rest into our drop zone. So again, just kind of keeping on that theme of calling bodies to the field, not exactly from our hand, because we are looking to really ride a lot of have a lot of grade 3s on our field. So being able to choose the top 2 is pretty nice. Its second skill, I think, is the real breadwinner here. When it attacks once per turn, if our Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, doesn't have to be Big Belly, we can Soul Blast 1, choose one of our rear guards, and it gets an additional 10,000 till the end of turn. At the end of turn, we retire that unit. So again, just really facilitating that draw with that later half of that skill. Retire another unit, so Big Belly will draw off that. And then really helping us hit those power threshold, an additional 10k. So if this is on an Excel 2 or an Excel 1 circle, if it chooses itself for this effect, that's fine. You're going to hit that power threshold, you're going to restand. So everything in this deck really is about giving each other power and really making sure that you have the maximum amount of powerful rear guards to restand during Big Belly's turn. Now moving on now to our grade 1 lineup, that is it for the grade 2. So we are constantly talking about Big Belly, so we're looking for consistency here. So we're actually running Diligent Assistant Mini Belly. Really need Big Belly as our Vanguard, so if we don't have him, we're not running as efficiently as we can. We're not absolutely screwed, but in most decks today, against most decks, I think we definitely have to be on Big Belly, so Consistency Searcher is nice. Also is nice to search out the Hamscade's rival Hamden with this as well, because that enables our first grade 3 ride, so getting the right key grade 3 in our hand is pretty crucial, and I like to do it with this guy right here. Next up in our grade 1 lineup, we have History Scholar Bush, how do you say this, Bushburk? I guess that's how to say it. On Vanguard Circle, its skill is when placed, we can discard a card from our hand and draw a card. Nice to filter, we're really looking for some of those key grade 3s, that Hamden and that Big Belly initially, so if we have to ride it, not a bad ride at all. The second skill is actually really nice and free as well, so at the end of battle that it boosted, we get to retire this unit, and one of our rear guards get 10,000 until the end of turn. This is really nice because it's at the end that it boosted, so it's going to get the boost. It's not just, you know, retire as it's boosting. We get to retire him, so he enables the Big Belly draw, and we also help one of our rear guards hit that power threshold that they might be lacking on otherwise. So very good card all around. Definitely fits in with the strategy. Want to max this guy out for sure. And then for our last grade 3, I am running 3 of these guys. This is Expert Grader Nuzotobi. Its skill on Vanguard Circles, when an attack hits, we can draw a card. So just a little on-hit pressure if you have to ride him. No big deal. Pretty simple. Kind of an older skill, but it is what it is. Its second skill, retired from a Rearguard Circle, by your card's ability. If you have a Vanguard with Big Belly in its card name, we get to countercharge 1. So a lot of our units in here do use Counterblast. Big Belly himself, Hamden, there is the Measured Fossa also uses it, so you want to make sure you have an adequate amount of counterblasts for your turn to really go live, so running him then at a 3 of for that. I'm also going to mention just a few cards I didn't include in here in just a minute, but I just want to get through the triggers first. So, no surprise, I'm running 4 heals here. I'm actually running 4 of the draw PGs. Now, I just want to quickly note, it's not incorrect to run the Sentinel PGs, especially in a more Excel-based meta. I just find that I'm looking to really get those key grade 3s in my hand, and a null guard is always nice, so the extra draw power I find is a little bit more beneficial, but it isn't wrong to run those Sentinel crits. And rounding out, we have 8. Yep, just want to make sure I'm counting the triggers right this time. We have 8 front triggers here. I find that since we are restanding our rear guards, it's really crucial that we power them up as much as possible, and I think this deck really aims to beat down our opponent on our first grade 3 ride. It's a very viable expectation really that you can get all of your rear guards to stand. So if you hit a front trigger, all of them kind of benefit off of that. Just a note too, when you are using Big Belly, its skill is when it attacks. So if you, let's say, had a 19k rear guard, didn't quite hit that 20k threshold, unfortunately it's when it attacks, so don't think the trigger effects apply to it. Please let me know if I'm wrong on that. That's just kind of how I'm interpreting the skill, how I've been playtesting it, so yeah. Cool, let me hop right into some of those cards that got an honorable mention, just to kind of talk about some things that you can slot in if you didn't like anything in the list so far. So yeah, these are the honorable mentions I just wanted to bring up really quickly just to discuss. Now, when I was playtesting, I did use this guy for a while. It is a very good card, Blusher Power Kit. Its skill is one place, you counterblast 1, look at the top 7, find a grade 3, put it into your hand, and then you can get an additional 3,000 on this guy. If this is on rear guard, at the end of turn, we then retire this guy. So totally is all about Big Belly skill. Like, you can get that draw off Big Belly there, you get this grade 3 that you want in your hand. I find that not hitting the power threshold or not giving power is just too costly in this deck. I definitely want all of my rear guards live, doing something for each other on the board or for themselves. This guy just doesn't quite do it. It needs to be on like an Excel 1 circle with that additional 3k to hit that, so I unfortunately did cut him. It does add to consistency. If you do want to slot him back in, if you want to drop anything of mine, go ahead, but I find that I value the high roll a little bit more and the power a little bit more than the consistency that he adds. This too would never really be run out of 4 of. This is Bird and Kangaroo. Its skill on during battle that it attacked if our Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, and this unit is 20,000 or greater. Your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand to Guardian Circle. So this kind of sponged some power-ups from other rear guards. I found that I want to just make really, really powerful columns all together. All of your attacks almost become Sentinel bait, so when you have the grade 3 searcher behind Big Belly, that itself at 35k is kind of just Sentinel bait. So the last guy that I did try out but I didn't quite like was actually Lovey Dovey Daughter. Its skill is when placed, we get to counterblast 1, put the top card of our deck into our drop zone and perform one of the effects and below, depending on that card's type. If it's a normal unit, you get to call that card to rear guard circle, and if it's a trigger unit, this guy gets 15,000 till the end of turn. So at first glance, it's kind of like Isabel's support, but when you think about it, we are getting a body on board. That's beneficial for us. Also, if this kind of gives itself enough power to hit that threshold, so I just didn't want to leave that to chance with that lottery system, so I decided to cut it from the deck. It can work if you really want to, but not a big deal. I didn't find that it was doing too much for me. So now let's move into just like a test hand. I just want to say too, if you guys are enjoying the content, please consider leaving a like and subscription to the channel. It really helps us out, lets me know that you enjoy this content, and let's hop into our test hand right now. Alright, let's shuffle up over here, make sure we're nice and mixed up from our profile. It's funny how this kind of worked out, this set. Big Belly ended up being kind of the budget deck. All these cards in here are pretty cheap. I think just the Hamskay support card, I think the grade 1 searcher, and what was the last one? The perfect draw. I don't know how much that's really going for off the top of my head right now, but aside from that, everything else is really pennies in this deck. You could probably pick it up. I saw people selling it for like $50, $55, so if you can still find a deal like that, that's just pretty nice. But sad the Blouse didn't end up being the real budget icon of the deck. All the older support makes it a little bit more expensive, so it is what it is, no big deal. That deck profile is coming once I nail down that list, by the way, too. So let's just draw our 5 cards now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, alright, we did get a Big Belly, so that's nice, and we got a Hamden, so let's put back these 2. We still kind of need a grade 1, obviously, hoping we draw into a grade 2 by our grade 2 turn. I'm not going to be too aggressive with my mulligan there. 1 and 2. Okay, we didn't, but it is what it is. Let's see if we luck out. So now that we have both the ham skate in our hand and the big belly, I think I'm going to search for like a cat in the hat. That's probably my ideal target. So assume we go first, so we're going to stand and draw. Let us... we're actually going to use this, so we're going to use him. I'm going to discard this guy, and I'm going to draw for the starter skill and then draw for his skill. Cool, so we did find a grade 2, very nice. I'm also going to actually play this guy right here because I don't need 2 of these. I'm going to ditch him if I do find a grade 3. And we always want this behind our Vanguard so we can get a really powerful big belly turn with Spool Mary. So let's see, do we hit? Oh wow, we hit no grade 3s there, no big deal. Have enough in our hand anyway. So now we are going to pass it over to our opponent. We'll just assume we took a damage for their first turn. Hit. Oh, that's a heal trigger. Of course, it's our first one. Next up, our turn, we're going to stand and draw. Let's ride Spool Mary. There's really a pretty weak grade 2 turn here. If you do have the Measured Fossa and her, you can get another body onto the board by looking at the top 2 and putting a little bit of pressure, but there's no really explosive grade 2 turn, so we're just going to swing, and he doesn't get the additional 5 yet. Boom, no trigger. That's alright. Over to our opponent. Let's assume we take 2 damage for this turn, 1 and 2. Alright, cool. Next is our turn. 1, 2, stand and draw. Draw and triggers, our specialty. Let us ride Big Belly, and I'm gonna risk it here. I'm actually gonna go Excel 1 and pop down that little trigger. Just a quick plug, really quick, if you guys haven't seen, I did post a video where I explained how to make these custom markers. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link in the description. Next up, what am I going to do? I'm going to call this guy. I'm really looking for an additional grade 3 here because I want to get off 7 attacks. Let's see, can we get a cat in the hat? Oh, we can, very good. So I'm going to call this to my hand then, and I'm going to ditch a card from my hand. That's not my hand, nope. We're going to be really aggressive here. I'm actually going to ditch a trigger. Yep. And cool. Let us call down this guy next, Hamden. Now, just make sure that you call him first because we need to pop his skill off. He needs to see this other unit go onto an additional rearguard circle to get his full skill off. So we are going to counterblast 1. We're going to put a card from our hand into our soul. We're going to put that other grade 3 into here. I also just forgot to pop her out of my soul, so I'm going to put her right over there. Let's get him out. And then her skill is when it attacks, so we're going to do that then. His skill is to Soul Blast 1. Make sure we don't Soul Blast out our grade 3. We are actually going to, let's see, I'm going to give him the additional 10k. Just to make him really powerful, and he gets the 10k from his own ability. He gets it from Hamden's ability as well. So already this guy is at 1, 2, 3, 42. This guy is a 42k column. So super threatening, especially if we get another front off and we get a full kind of board attack here. It could be really detrimental for our opponent. So let's start our turn. Let's swing with her first. We're going to give herself an extra 10, retire her at the end of turn. We're also going to give Big Belly a 10. Next up, we are going to swing with a 22. I'm going to save this one for the restand just because I know he will be restanding. 42. And now we are going to activate Big Belly's skill. This is a 35k column thanks to Spool Mary and her. We're going to counterblast 1, and then we are going to restand all of our 20,000 or greater rear guards. There we go. If we wanted to, we could have guaranteed that she restood, but I really want to threaten with this guy over here, so, you know, you have to play out the game state. If you know that you benefit more off of an additional attack as opposed to a bigger column, so be it, but I just did that, so 1, 2, wow, 2 of these guys. No triggers there, no big deal, we're still restanding with these. I'm going to swing, and I'm going to swing. I'm going to activate both of their skills. I'm going to put them into, this guy gets retired, this guy goes into soul instead of being retired, so we get to draw twice, 1 and 2. Alright, not a crazy amount of shield value in our hands, but decent grade 1 turn overall. Again, could have got 1 more extra attack if you chose to. I just chose to power up that unit. Let us pretend that, alright, so what do I need to do this turn to survive? I need to dump everything, let's say 1, 2, 3, all my shield value basically. What else? Let's say I took 2, 1, 2. Alright, that front helped us out, shutting everything off, whatever it may be. Our turn, stand and draw, and again, we don't have that additional rearguard circle, or re-ride to get 2 rearguard circles off, so we can't get his second thing off, but it's okay, no big deal. Let us go with him. I'm going to place him right there. Actually, let's place him here. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to activate his skill now when I place him. I'm going to activate his skill first. Going to counterblast 1. I am then going to put a card into my soul. I'm going to give him 10k. I'm going to give him 10k. There we go. He's going to get a 10k off of his skill. This is why I chose the power columns a little bit more than the ride consistency. Just all rear guards should be helping each other hit that 20,000 threshold. So let's begin. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Okay. So let's attack here first. We're going to use his skill. We're going to soul blast 1. We are then going to give him an additional 10k. We're going to retire him at the end of turn. We're going to attack with him, and again, everybody is over 22k. So when I swing, I'm going to activate this guy. Going to restand all my 20k or greater rear guards. Let's see if we can hit a front. Let's do it. 1, boom, ask and you shall receive. And 2, so we hit that front, we had that additional 10k to the front row, and I mean, these are pretty decent attacks overall. This guy is 19, this is 29, right, 19, 29, this is now 39, this guy is now 32 plus the 13, this is another 35k column. So pretty powerful multi-attacking in this deck. That's really the theme of it. Beat down, get bodies on board, make sure everybody can help each other restand. You really want to get that restand off on your first grade 3 ride for optimal results. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you learned something, maybe consider leaving that like and subscribing to the channel. Again, it really helps us out. And this is Alex from Team Generations signing out.